Il y a Adolphe qui va crier. Adolphe va crier. Voilà. Je vous l'ai dit. Il y a une joue avec ses dés. Il ne faut pas jouer avec ses dés. En plus, il colle bien. Un homme chaleureux. On la laisse pas passer. Normalement, dès qu'ils sont, encore. Après, ça fait.
Timed qualifying now gets underway for our second qualifying practice session. And this time it is X30 Junior. Looks like there's a slight drama for Gregory Korbelichek from Germany in the 113, trying to get the engine started, or might be just waiting. It seems like the German is having problems trying to get out of the dummy grid. So in this respective class itself of the Karting Champions League Winter Series for 2026, we have representation from Belgium, France, Switzerland, the Netherlands, Luxembourg, the United Kingdom, Sweden, Denmark and Germany. So in some respects, if Korbelichek is yet to get out of the dummy grid, this might prove to be an unfortunate disappointment for the 113 from Germany, and he will not take part in the session. However, the likes of Joshua Lauritsen, Isaac Zahiri, Jules Ducoun leading the way, as we will get to see our first benchmarks coming in at just after just after a few moments of the session remaining. So 3 minutes and 30 to go, and it is changing all the time. Ludwig Granqvist from Sweden goes top. The timesheet's 1 minute 7.9, followed by Theo Poliquin. Chess Pedersen, who's switched teams from Simon Racing now over to Victory Lane, rounds out your top three. I chat with him and his dad earlier on today. Said that we felt warmly welcomed and was very happy with his new surroundings. Len Gukman is the fastest driver in the second and third sectors. Mohamed El Bouzaki in the 115 is the quickest in the opening sector. Well, 2 minutes and 40 seconds remaining on the timer. It's going to be a rapid fire session for these drivers. Then we'll have two qualifying groups for seniors, where we have over 40 plus drivers. As it is changing all the time, Lionel Munguia is the first one to dip under 60 seconds, but then Antoine Boots and Ludwig Granqvist respond accordingly. El Bouzaki jumps all the way up into second position. as Germany's Len Gökman in the 149 moves up into P9, 9.5 tenths of a second off as Lana Munguia goes quickest overall in the first sector. Granquist is quickest in sector 3. Munguia's actually done purple in the first and second sectors. So we are really ramping up the pace here in X30 junior qualifying. Munguia could very shortly go to the top of the timesheets. 17.1 in the middle sector by the youngster from the Netherlands, who goes instantly to the top of the timesheets, breaks underneath 58 seconds. Ches Pedersen also makes it a Dutch 1-2 and goes just over a tenth slower. And it's Edouard Godefroy. Mohamed El Bouzaki, the runner-up last year. Louis Boots down into 6th position. Ahead of the likes of Antoine Boots, Linus Dijsted from Denmark. Mathis Mouche and Theo Polican ran out your top 10, covered by a second. All the way down to 20th position, Germany's Len Gökman in the 149. 1.687 seconds off the provisional pole position, but it is Lionel Munguia. Ches Pedersen, the young Dutchman, now with victory lane, has gone purple, sectors 1 and 2. So the 121 looks like he's going to hit the top step of the timesheets very, very shortly, as he will come out of the final corner now. Goes straight in with a blistering lap time for 56.604. 4 tenths quicker than Polican. Munguia a further half a tenth back. Louis Bieland, the son of Sebastien Bieland for RST Karting, moves up into P6 on a good effort of 57.381. So at the moment, Pedersen's absolutely flying at the moment. 22.685 in the opening sector alone. Checkered flag is out for the session. And Pedersen is absolutely flying at the moment in the 121. He's just about to come through to the final couple of corners. We're going to see if anyone can beat him at the moment, but Ches Pedersen, Munguia second, Godefroy third. Ches Pedersen goes even quicker, 56.277 by the flying youngster from the Netherlands. Theo Polican moves up into P2 on a last gasp dash to the line, 56.501. 2 tenths quicker than Antoine Boots. Lionel Munguia and Ludwig Granquist, who at times did lead the session. They round out your top 5, covered by just under 6 tenths. Louis Bieland, 3 1/1000ths off of getting into the top 5. Finishes ahead of Edouard Godefroy. Days Van Haus, Louis Boots and Joshua Lauritsen round out your top 10. Lucas Belizari from Luxembourg and Switzerland's Zoltan Koigny round out your top 12, covered by just over 1.06 seconds. Mohamed El Bouzaki, Linus Dijsted, Charles van Kellekom ran at the top 15, covered by 1.13 seconds. Ahead of Gauthier Maquet, Tren van Melk, Jules de Koen, Ronan Kamphaus and Sacha Duquet ran out your top 20, covered by just over 1.36 seconds. France's Isaac Zahiri in 21st, head of Len Gökman. Dorian Grandjean, the UK's Adam Bourne and Luxembourg's Mathis Mouche rounding out the 25 runners in that qualifying session. And unfortunately, a qualifying session for Germany's Gregory Korblicek to forget, as the 113 was unable to make it out of the dummy grid. That concludes X30 junior qualifying, and at 1:30, so in 8 minutes' time, we'll get underway with our first of 2 X30 senior qualifying sessions here at the Home of Champions for round 1 of the 2026 Karting Champions League Winter Series.
là.
Now the green flag shows to our first of two groups of qualifying for X30 Senior for the 2026 Karting Champions League Winter Series. First round being held here at Karting Genk, the home of champions, as we will have 25 of the drivers registered here this weekend to go into qualifying around the 1,360 metre circuit. So with track evolution being very much part of the course here in the Limburg region, we will see that the times will be even more rapid in this division of the series. So the first benchmark comes in from the likes of Sam Gluck and Bertrand Saxe, Matteo Rivals, Clément Outron, Noé Mengal, Aurelio Giustinelli, and there is a driver called Enzo Ferrari. No, not as far as I'm aware, any relation to the man that brought in the Cavallino Rampante into the world of not just sports cars on the road, but also racing. So three different drivers getting purple sectors. Clément Outron just goes quickest in the opening sector. Enzo Ferrari was quickest in the second sector. Arthur Huang for the in the number 388 representing Belgium goes quickest in the final sector. These drivers will be jockeying for position and also for slipstream. Of course, last year the big surprise was the person that did take the Karting Champions League title in this division, Mathis Marchand, who last year was running with KCR, now has switched to RSD karting. Clément Outron goes top of the timesheets in the 289 with a 57.185. Arthur Huang goes P2. Bertrand Saxe from Denmark third. Giustinelli, Alexandre Mercier, Enzo Ferrari, Romain Saleh, Mathis Marchand. Victor Louis now jumps up into P2. And Alexandre Mercier in the 290 for CG Motorsport goes fastest overall in the first sector. Bertrand Saxe in the 301 representing Saxe Motorsport. He did go quickest in the middle sector, but that has now been taken away by Dream Racing's Clément Outron. And Saxe goes to the top of the timesheets. Clément Outron very shortly will cross the line in the 289 and goes in with a 55.060. Mathis Marchand has moved up the order. He's now currently running P5 at the minute. Matthias van der Kerkhoff, who battled intensely with Alessandro Tudisca last year's event, which was a one-round affair only. Sam van der Heyden also has moved teams and has moved to Victory Lane. So the man very much in the thick of things such as Yamaha Series Benelux, Yamaha Series, well, X30 Senior in the Deutsche Meisterschaft last year. But Alexandre Mercier could go to the top of the timesheets. So the 290 from CG Motorsport could pit Clément Outron very, very shortly. And now Raffaele Santocono dips underneath the 55-second barrier. Mathis Marchand blows that time out of the water, and then along comes Alexandre Mercier and says, "Hold my chocolate milk." Puts in a 54.480. Victor Louis now up into second place, 0.134 behind. Top 18 rounded out by, well, top 19 rounded out by the Netherlands' Sam Gluck, who's running with the KCR Racing team. They rounded out by just under 9.5 tenths of a second. Mathis Blanquet 20th. But a very competitive session. 1.2 seconds covers all 25 drivers, as we are very shortly going to see the checkered flag, which will wave now. That's it. 5-minute session is over. Bertrand Saxe goes across the line, stays 10th. for the meantime. And Yanni Bouillet in the 2:14 for PJM goes to the top of the timesheets. The last few drivers coming across the line, the likes of Victor Louis, Sam van der Heyden. Van der Heyden 13th, Victor Louis P3, but Yanni Bouillet with a 54.326 has just topped group number 1 of this session and did it by 0.154 of a second. Ahead of Alexandre Mercier, Victor Louis, Matteo Rivals, and then also Rival, and then Matthias van der Kerkhoff. Always never count that man from victory lane out in the 3:46. Matthias Merschel, the defending karting Champions League X30 senior winner from last year, takes P6 in the session, unlike last year when he suffered brake trouble going through into turn 4 at Karting d'Espagne, and then came back to win it. Delano Vellens, Clément Outron, Aurelio Giustinelli, and Arthur Huang round out your top 10, covered by 0.427 of a second. Kevin Bakker, Enzo Ferrari, Aaron Vida, Sam van der Heyden, and Danny Boers round out your top 15. Raffaele Santocono, Norman Gall, Bertram Saxter, Flavio Caja, and looks like Alan Spencer in the 3:11, running with MDL, who have got a couple of drivers over here, including CJ Bennett, who'll be out in the next session. He rounds out the top 20, covered by 0.784 of a second. Gauthier Saint-Juan from Switzerland, 21st. Mathis Blanquet, Sam Galuc, Roman Saleh, and Corentin Perrault round out your 25 drivers, covered by 1.3 seconds. So we have a slight reprieve at the moment, 8 minutes until the next session, and then we'll see what happens in Group 2. Also, can we please call to the stewards immediately, Junior X30 driver, Theo Polican, 187. Junior X30, Theo Polican from Dream Racing. Please report to the stewards immediately. Thank you. So in 7.5 minutes' time, we'll see if Yanni Bouillet's time of a 54.326 can be beaten by our next batch of drivers who are getting themselves assembled in the dummy grid as qualifying continues for the first round of this winter series. So for the penultimate time here for round one of the Karting Champions League 2026 Winter Series, we are underway with Group 2 qualifying for X30 Senior. Time to beat is to be 54.326, courtesy of Yanni Bouillet. So the drivers will have just a short amount of time to get things done. So the first minute is completed as the drivers build up temperature in the tyres and get themselves ready for a flat-out assault on the famed Home of Champions circuit here at Karting Genk as they edge out to beat a 54.326 in the hands of the 214 from PJM's Yanni Bouillet. All results called by myself up here in the commentary box are provisional. So at the moment, with the initial benchmarks coming in, we are about 10 seconds, 10.7 seconds off that initial pace that we saw just a few moments ago. So at the moment, it is Oscar Gutschow, followed by Evert Dorrestein, Markus Klum rounding out your top three. But the first lap is not really a reflective, true representation of their pace. So Oscar Gutschow, 57.360, so 3 seconds off. Evert Dorrestein, 57.7. Markus Klum goes top. Farid Jalil up to P3. And Annabelle Bryan is with us this weekend as well, the 383 from the Netherlands. She's been racing in some single-seaters last year, if I remember, French FFSA Formula 4, if I remember correctly. So good to see her back in the world of karting. So Markus Klum leads the way, 57.356, which is effectively 3.03 seconds away from Yanni Bouillet's his fastest lap. Jalil goes quickest in the first and second sectors. So the 277 for another CG Motorsport driver could be going to the top of the timesheets. And it's Evert Dorrestein that goes top now, but Markus Klum takes that away. Farid Jalil instantly beats his fellow countryman by 0.189 of a second and puts us in that window of a second just behind. Charlie Gloom, P6. Roberto Bars, CJ Bennett, Bran van der Weyken and Senna Meunier round out your top 10. Covered by 0.691 of a second. So it is going to be rather interesting to see how these drivers get on. Farid Jalil is absolutely lighting up the timesheets purple. Oscar Gutschow, 55.312. Markus Klum, 54.9. Farid Jalil, 54.842. So we are about half a second off. We've got 35 seconds on the timer. Levi Sangira from Canada up to P3 ahead of Ireland's CJ Bennett. Vince van der Holle now rounds out your top 5. Bran van der Weyken pushes up to P3. And Markus Klum and Farid Jalil exchanging fastest overall first sectors of the session. This is going to be the last opportunity for pretty much all of the 24 drivers, giving us a combined rank of the combined ranks of 49 senior X30s. Faris Jalil again goes purple. Could it be a clean sweep across the board for the Belgian for CG Motorsport in the 277? Oscar Gutscho takes the checker. Marcus Bloom goes top. It's not quick enough. Faris Jalil goes top at the last gasp, but it is not going to be good enough. Is there somebody in this field that is going to punch themselves to the top of the timesheets? The way things are going, it does not look like it. As the session is over, Faris Jalil puts in a 54.677, which means that out of 49 drivers provisionally, Yanni Bouillet takes provisional overall fastest time in qualifying on a 54.326. Faris Jalil takes the session ahead of the two Bloom brothers. Marcus ahead of Charlie. The top three covered by 0.124 of the second. Vince van der Honlen and Stig de Rademaker round out your top five. De Rademaker has now switched teams and has moved to RSD karting. Levi Sangira in the 327 takes 6 ahead of Senna Meunier. Pepin Steiger, Island CJ Bennett and Boris Verhaag from the Netherlands round out your top 10 in a very, very close session. Bran van der Weyken, 6 1,000s outside of the top 10, completes the top 11 by exactly 4 tenths. Then Max Hazel, Roberto Baz, Luca Moulard, Oscar Gutscho and Angelo Milly round out your top 16, covered by just 5 tenths of a second. Annabelle Bryan, Kazward House, Ava Dorrestein, Tom Schultz, Zachary Gernon, Lorenzo Notarigo, Matt Pereira Simon and Simon Solazzo from Switzerland round out your 24 strong, covered by 1.1 seconds. That concludes X30 senior qualifying. Next up, we go to one of the toughest classes in karting. We go to our shifter classes with KZ and KZ Masters set to hit the track in about 8 minutes' time. Driver announcement. Could Yami Mini, driver number 802, William Sitio, please report to the stewards immediately. That's driver 802, Yami Mini. gentleman class is getting quicker and quicker and is 22 thousandths behind. Van der Stroys goes top by 3/10. Gil Mertens now responds. So does Jihadeh. Jeffrey Fixer responds in his own right and goes quicker than Van der Stroys with just under 60 seconds on the timer remaining. So Fixer in the 4:05 puts in a 52.625. Louis Esser up to P7. Nick Plumers up to 12th. Christopher Zaxter from Denmark in the 4:12 up to P16. Samuel Leuillet up to P4, meaning Louis Esser from Germany demoted down to 8th, ahead of Mick Blankenspor and Lenny Hobiolagash. 30 seconds on the timer. Van der Stroys has gone purple again in the middle sector. Jens Sør has just blitzed the first sector with a 20.71 and has just done a personal best in the middle sector. Van der Stroys is looking quick, and he's gone pole by nearly 3/10. Gil Mertens up to P2, but the person I'm looking out for is Jens Sør, who will cross the line very shortly. And Jens Sør goes up into P12. Checkered flag is out, so Jens Sør might have an opportunity at one more push lap. If he can get it, he can put that lap together like a jigsaw puzzle, he might have an opportunity. Samuel Leuillet up to P4, taking the checkered. Mick Blankenspor 11th on this particular occasion, 53.014 for the 4:14 from the Netherlands. So Nick Plumers 16th, Anders Elkier ahead of fellow countryman Christopher Zaxter rounds out 17th and 18th. Tania Cirelli from France in the number 450 is about to cross the line and improves to 16th. Meantime, well, at this point, Jens Sør only able to manage as high as 11th position after that qualifying session. But provisionally, it is Tommy van der Stroys that takes provisional pole overall. Closely followed, I have to say. Great job by CRG Belgium's Gil Mertens in the 5:34, who takes second. Mika van der Pavet, who's done 4 testing days before this weekend, manages on his debut to take a P3 overall in qualifying. Well done to him. Jeffrey Fixer, Alois Girardet rounds out your top 5. Milan van Vinden from the Netherlands in the 4:08 for another one that has joined the newly rebranded MP kart racing team. Ahead of Samuel Leuillet. Kevin Steyhoud, never one to shy away from a KZ challenge, is the 4:11 for VRL Motorsport. He takes 8th ahead of Sam Clays. Lenny Hobiolagash rounds out your top 10. Jens Sør, the defending KCL, the Karting Champions League defending KZ champion, 11th head of Louis Esser. Mick Blankenspor takes 13th head of Luca Prima and Kane Ince, who round out your top 15. Tania Cirelli in the number 450 from France takes 16th head of Nick Plumers, and as Elkier, Christopher Zaxter and Martin Versteeg, who complete the top 20. Milo Bargenhout, Bas Schulten, Daniel Zaustra, Zico Oosterhoff round out the 24 drivers that managed at least 5 laps in qualifying, whereas Robin Glirum, new signing, I understand, to, I think it's possibly Power Kart Racing, not 100% sure, but the 416 from the Netherlands only completed 3 laps in qualifying, and the recovery vehicle is out, which means I fear that Robin has had to stop on the circuit. Jean Leuillet, a non-starter. That concludes qualifying for the opening round out of 2 for the 2026 Karting Champions League Winter Series here at the home of Champions Karting Genk. Just a quick reminder to the paddock that the tyre park will close at 5 p.m. tonight. So tyre park closes in just over 50 minutes. We will be live streaming as well via the official Karting Champions League YouTube channel. All the heats tomorrow, and then the super heats and the finals on Sunday. So we wish you all a very, very pleasant evening. As we say, tyre park closes at 5 p.m. tonight.